Hello everyone, it's the weekend. So that means there's another Lavinia Stamps video tutorial from me to you. And today I'm featuring the fabulous Spellbound fairy along with one of the hares from the Whimsical Hares. And some distress inks. Now I use paler tones than I'm going to use in this demonstration on this card. Mainly I'm changing them because I was a bit disappointed about the colour of this. I didn't think it was vivid enough. But other than that, the design will be the same. So let's get going then. I have a piece of cream Lavinia Stamps Multifarious cardstock, and I've folded it, creased it and cut it to 9.5 centimetres by 18 centimetres, and then I've rounded the corners off with a corner punch, and that gives me a lovely one layer card. And as you know, I'm very fond of one layer cards because they're quick. Piece of copy paper in the middle to protect the inside, and a slurp of coffee, distress inks in picked raspberry, tumbled glass. Now on the original one I used, on the original card, I think I used archival inks, cornflower blue and rose madder, but because they were archival inks they didn't look as vivid as these two distress inks. So let's see the difference when I do this. I'm using makeup brushes, so I have a blue one and a pink one, and then the gorgeous Flora stencil. And starting off with this, going right up the middle of the card, starting off with the blue, just checking this tumbled glass. I don't want it to be too wet, this ink pad. Maybe come down a bit more for you to see it better. So quite a lot of pressure. I want to be able to see this stencil underneath the main features. So there's a bit of blue, not going right to the bottom or the top or the side, so it's in the middle. And then picked raspberry is next. Change brushes. Just checking there how wet the ink pad is. It's not overly wet. So just going to go over a little bit more to the right hand side so that this pink gets an opportunity of singing its own song. And then blending into the blue, so we've got some lovely purple tones. Right, let's have a look. That will do. That is much darker than the original card. So when you see the two together at the end, you'll be able to choose which one you prefer, the lighter one or the darker one. You won't be surprised to hear, I love the drama, and so consequently this is my preference. Next it is the beautiful fairy, and she's called Spellbound, and I'm going to use my Misty for this. So popping the card in, I'll remove some of these magnets. Right down to the bottom, and one there. Nice and firm now with the magnets, that's good. And I'm just going to pop Spellbound on. Don't look at the splashes on the back of her. This is where I covered her up to sort of do some whacking with the Posca paint pens. You'll see that later. Right, okay, down she goes. How much of this are you getting? Oh, not too bad. No, you're not going to see her now because I've got to ink her up, haven't I? That is true. So just check my positioning. Yes, I think that's about it. Over and then lifting up, and I'm inking up with this Fine Clair Nocturne. Gentle tapping as normal. So the stamp gets inked out, but it's not swimming in the ink. A bit more on the middle of the stamp, I think, because it's quite solid silhouette image there. Especially the wings, they're so detailed, really beautiful. And then over we go. Gentle pressure, let the ink soak in. Now pressing a little bit firmer, especially on the middle of her body where the wings are, and most of the silhouette is really solid. Absolutely stunning, look at that. Oh dear. Beautiful design. Okay, now I will need that fairy again in a moment, and I've got to clean her, but for the time being, let's just go with, oh yes, I'm going to position the whimsical hare now. And here he is. He's one of a set of 3, and I just adore this one, and the way that he's gazing up at the fairy. He just loves her, doesn't he? Loves her to death. Adoration. So gentle tapping. I'm not using my Misty for this. He's a really solid stamp again. I'm just checking. Yeah, that's good. Got a bit of ink floating about on the outside. So I'll just get a wet cloth and wipe that off. That's done. It was all over the block. And then popping him down around about there. Just gently hold him again, let the ink soak into the card, and then down and up, smashing. He's a handsome little chap, isn't he? Now I've got a bit of a white spot there, so I'm just using a black polychromos pencil to ink that up. But other than that, I think he's perfect. Next, what's next? All stars now. Yes, now this is a set of stars. There's quite a few different sets of stars in the pound section on the Lavinia Stamps website. I can't remember what this one is called, but you obviously need them all anyway, so just ensure you've got every set. I mean, for £1, it's not bad, is it? Inking up, and I'm doing what I normally wouldn't do with a stamp. Normally I take the ink pad to the stamp. This time I'm taking the stamp to the ink pad, and I'm gently pouncing it, because what I don't want, and I've already got, because I was too heavy-handed, if you can see, I've got a lot of ink around the outside of that stamp. Don't want that. So wet cloth, take it off. Dry cloth, clean it up. And then I'm taking it back to the ink pad. And again, and I'm being lighter now. I'm going to just gentle tapping. Just kissing this ink pad, because I don't want it all over the outer edges. And that, to me, Very, very gentle. That looks good. There's no excess ink all the way around the outside there, so that's good. Now I'm going to pop that one down there. Yeah. Again, back to the ink pad, gentle, gentle. And then we'll have another one there. And then I'm going to do another tiny amount, but without re-inking, just down there. Yes, that's not bad. So the little hare is sort of surrounded by stars. Now the next thing to do is to dry off all of the black images, because I'm now going to put the moons down. And as I put the halo around the moons with the ink, if I'm not careful, the black ink will smear. So I want to make sure that is totally dry. And I'm using either a heat gun or a hairdryer. Not an embossing gun, I'm using a heat gun with a diffuser. It's a bit faster. And I'm doing the inside as well because it just warps the card. I'm just going to press now to see if that ink has thoroughly dried. Doesn't appear to be any ink coming off of there. So let's just hope that the ink that I'm putting on, which will be picked raspberry, won't reactivate the black ink and make it smear. Let's hope not anyway. I'm using 2 moons. You can find these on the Lavinia Stamps website. They do 3 sizes, and this is the medium and the small one. So on goes the medium one first. And then using a makeup brush and the picked raspberry, and moving it down a bit so you can see it a little easier. Gently, gently, just going to go and get a halo of ink, just a haze right the way round to highlight this gorgeous fairy, ensuring that I don't press the brush too heavily over the black inked areas, because I don't want to reactivate that ink. A bit more of the pink. You can use a smoothie for this or a makeup sponge, but I have to say, I do like the look that I get when I use these makeup brushes, because I can be heavy-handed with the ink, and these give me a sort of more control to get that hazy look, rather than, in my case, a sort of a splodgy look. I suppose it all comes down to practice, really. So that's fairy 1, and now we go on to the smaller moon for the whimsical hare. Gentle again, because I'm in the area where there's more black images. Just popping out. And there he is in the spotlight. Not bad. Not bad at all, and I didn't smear the ink. That's good. What's next? I'm asking you, and you've got no idea, have you? Oh dear. Yeah, it's one of those days today, I tell you. It's been so busy this morning. And I shall be watching the funeral of the Duke of Edinburgh this afternoon. And then I'll be catching up with the Formula One racing as well. So a full day today. And the race itself is tomorrow. So looking forward to that. Right, I'm back to the card. And the next thing to do is to do some splashing. But for this, I need to make sure that the stamp, Little Hare, and I'm using a cloth just to make sure that he's clean, because I'm using him as a mask. So plonking him down, technical term, and then the cleaned silhouette Spellbound fairy as well, and popping her down. I can't be doing with all that faffing about cutting out stuff. I'm just not me. I do it sometimes if it's easy, you know, but these are sort of, especially this fairy, she's quite intricate, and so no. So handy that I can use her as a mask. So I've got some Posca pens here. I've got a white one and a blue one and a pink one, and I'm going to use these for splashing. And I do like the 0.7mm bullet point tips, pin type I think they're called. But anyway, whatever they are, they're handy for doing the splashing, because you don't get too many large blobby type bits of paint over your work. So good shake. And I'm going to start off with the blue one. And on the original card I didn't use blue, and I looked at it and I thought, you need blue there, Eileen, so I'm using it on this one. Just all around. It looks good and it fills the gaps in. Pink. Yes. Just staying with the colours that I've sort of got, so it's tone on tone type stuff. But this is a pearlised pink. Still nice though. It's more of a dusky pink, this one. And then finally, my favourite of all is white. The paint comes off the back of your stamps, okay? Just get a damp cloth and it wipes off, no problem. Now I'm going to go really heavy-handed with this white. If people ask you what is the technique with this card, just say whacking with a Posca paint pen, because it seems to be the thing that is standing out, I believe. Right, take this off. But I haven't covered the images because I don't like to see blobs of paint all over these beautiful images, so I ensure that I usually cover them up. But that's personal preference, isn't it? Okay. Now this is going to be wet, so I need to be careful. But the final thing that I'm going to put on now is some stickles. And I'm using gold. And being very careful. So just want to see if that's running okay. It seems to be. And I'm going to put a tiny amount down and up. It's quite dimensional. Into some of these stars, in the middle of these stars. You can do all of them if you wish, or just a few. And then I'm also going to put some tiny amount just tiny little blobs of stickles again going up from the whimsical hare. I'm going to put 3 over here. Just decorate it as you want to, really. But my advice would be, don't make the blobs of this stuff look too big. It sort of overshadows everything else. But it just gives it a lift to see a bit of glitter, doesn't it? Got out of shape a bit with that, but I'll show you how to fix that. There, and then I'm going to put some over here as well. 1. Do the odd numbers, 3s, 5s, 7s, you know the story. I think I'll do another 3 here. Just down and up. Then it finds its own level. Yeah, that's not bad. Now, there's one of them there that's got a bit of a tail here. I'm just going to remove some of the glitter. That's it. That looks better. Now this is a nib holder or pen holder for these little tips, and they are, I've got them here somewhere. This is jolly handy, I'll tell you. These are cut and dry pen nibs from Ranger, and you get a pack of 10, and it's used for blending when you want to blend colours in together in a very small area. You've got a little point that you can sort of do the blending. But I've found it that yeah, they give you total control, evidently, to place colours exactly where you want them to be. But I found them really good for my repair shop, in the sense that when I make mistakes, especially with dimensional stuff, whilst it's still wet, using these I can sort of remove it easily without it ruining the card. And it's so handy in this. Right, so I just thought I'd share that with you. So that is cut and dry pen nibs brush tip. You'll find them on Amazon, I think, or on the Ranger stockists. Well, that's it now. I think I'm done. So I'll get my display board. I've enjoyed this demonstration. Thank you for being with me. So this one is more vivid, and it's far more colourful, and some would say a little bit over the top. I think it's lovely. And this one is one that I did earlier, and it's much paler. And I'm sure some of you would prefer that. So you have a choice to either go with the strong colours and a heavier hand with the brushes, or keep it looking, because that's quite ethereal, and I think that's pretty as well. So let me just see that it's in the right place, and then I'll say bye-bye. Have a great weekend, and I'll be back tomorrow round about the same time, 2ish or 3 o'clock, on the Lavinia Stamps page and various other Facebook pages and groups, as well as YouTube. Thank you so much for looking today. Bye for now.